Unlike the phenomenal HBO miniseries that recapped the horrific events of 1986 with gripping realism, Chernobylite uses one of humankind's greatest catastrophes as a stepping-off point for a survival horror experience with a distinctly supernatural slant. After having around an hour of hands-on time with a pre-alpha build of the game, I'm certainly intrigued to see more of this stealth-driven shooter that derives just as much dread from the crackling of its Geiger counter as it does from its H.R. Geiger-esque enemies. Set 30 years after the disaster, Chernobylite puts you in the shoes of Igor, a physicist formerly employed at the Chernobyl nuclear plant, who returns to the disaster zone in search of his missing wife Tatiana. The opening of my hands-on demo had Igor infiltrating the bowels of the facility in order to extract a piece of Chernobylite, a product of the nuclear accident that, in the words of Igor, creates transcendental bijection of the space-time continuum. For those of us who aren't Stephen Hawking, that means the Chernobylite is able to power Igor's portal gun in order to teleport between areas via a singularity bubble. In my demo, the use of this portal gun seemed to be restricted to returning Igor back to his base after completing a mission. But theoretically, it could have time travel or trans-dimensional uses later on in the game. The second half of my demo was a mission in the Moscow Eye, a forest-covered area of Chernobyl set at the foot of an enormous radar system. This level was much more open than the nuclear plant, giving me the freedom to explore a variety of abandoned facilities and streets reclaimed by nature, interacting with side characters, suffering apparent hallucinations, and encountering alien enemies that seem to slip in and out of the area via the same wormholes employed by Igor. I opted to quietly avoid these otherworldly beings entirely, since I had enough of a fight on my hands against the NAR soldiers patrolling the area. Stealth takedowns were the order of the day against these human enemies, because the only weapon at my disposal was a somewhat rickety revolver. Downed enemies do drop more powerful firearms such as carbine assault rifles, but Igor is unable to use them without a biolock disabler, since they're apparently locked to each soldier's genetic code. The biolock disabler itself may well be a tool that you can craft in Chernobylite, and in fact you can use all manner of resources gathered out and about in the exclusion zone to create tools and build furnishings for Igor's base. It's from this base that you choose your next mission, as well as allocate side missions for your companions to complete on your behalf. Back at the base, you can also study the clues you've collected that point to Tatiana's whereabouts, as well as decide which companion you want to spend earned mentor points with in order to improve Igor's skills. According to the developers, player choice is also paramount when it comes to Chernobylite's storyline, but my short time with the game only served to hint at the sorts of decisions on offer without implicitly portraying the more lasting consequences. The main story quest I played culminated in a decision between destroying the towering Dugar radar with explosives or letting it stand and instead using it to mind control the people in the Moscow Eye area. Here's how the former choice played out, and here's the latter. Since the demo ended shortly thereafter, I have little idea of the wider ramifications for either outcome. Still, it's the potential of its player-influenced narrative combined with the authenticity of its setting and its intriguing supernatural skew that could allow Chernobylite to stand shoulder to shoulder with the likes of the Stalker and Metro series when it arrives in Steam Early Access later this year. For more Chernobylite, check out the Gamescom 2019 demo. And for everything else, stick with IGN.